Hello, and welcome back to Fist Entertainment. It's that time of year again for basically scary movies, so welcome to Horror Fest 2023. And we're starting out with a much newer release. And probably one of the most unique horror films. Camera for so long. Get what that left is right and right is left. And that would be 1989's. Yes, 89. The film did come out in 1990, but it is a 1989 movie. But for argument, we'll just call it a 1990 movie. This is a brand new 4K release from Scream Factory. And what we're talking about is Nightbreed, also known as Clive Barker's Nightbreed. Now this is actually a 2-for-1 review for this movie. And this does have reverse artwork, but I did not like the reverse artwork. First artwork is actually lifeless, and shall I say, fruitless. Alright. Well, the plot synopsis of the film. It takes too long for me to do my own plot synopsis, but with that said, I can help myself, so I will. Basically, a blue-collar worker who has been having psychological issues, that has been seeing a psychiatrist, has been having dreams of a mythical world of monsters. When he is accused of being a mass murderer, he is gunned down by authorities, and we find out that his own psychiatrist is indeed the real murderer, in that he was killing families in order to go ahead and drive this mysterious world known as Midian, where the monsters live, to come to light. It's suspected his dreams actually were more like a calling, because the world that he was dreaming about is actually real. For he is not of this complete world, he is actually a part of the Nightbreed, a civilization of monsters that live in a mystical world called Midian that's located underneath a cemetery. His girlfriend goes to find him, and in the end, the idea of good versus evil, of man versus monster, gets turned over on his ass. For in this movie, the true villains are man, and the heroes are monsters. In the world of Midian, where dead men can be heroes, and monsters beautiful, as Clive Barker said. A horror film like no other. Now, let's talk about the cast. Doug Bradley is in this film, is one of the co-characters. The movie stars Craig Schaefer, is Aaron Boone, a blue-collar worker who discovers that he is actually a messiah that was prophesied to save this civilization of monsters. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. He is a savior of these monsters. All this was actually foretold, that he was going to save them from humanity. So yeah, it's a very mythical, very interesting horror film. But it's also kind of a fantasy adventure film too. It has a lot of interesting things to tell in the film. Now, there's a controversy about this movie. There were 3 cuts of this film. Originally, just 2 cuts. The theatrical studio cut, which unfortunately is the only one in 4K in this collection. The Cabal cut, and the title of Cabal is based off of the fact that, like all other Clive Barker movies, they are based off of novels or short stories. In terms of Nightbreed, it's based off of the novel Cabal. And basically, the original product was the Cabal cut, and it was lost in time. Because some people had the luxury of seeing it in a work print version, which is unedited, and it was a terrible VHS thing. However, at the end of the first, actually, I'd say about the middle of the second decade of the millennium, I believe it 2013, 2014, somewhere around there, Scream Factory teamed up with Imagine Studios and Clive Barker and actually made the director's cut of Nightbreed, which is my preferred version of the movie. Unfortunately, it's only available in 2K in this 4K package here. Now, does that really mean that this is a lost cause having this? No, because the theatrical cut of the film is still a good movie. Now, is it as understandable? Does it make as much sense as the director's cut? Is it as good as the director's cut of the film? No, it isn't. Because the director's cut completely changes the story of the movie. There are very, very big differences between the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Like, for example, one big difference is the fact that we see a lot more daydreaming and a lot more of Boone before he gets killed and shot to death by cops, and he obviously becomes a dead man, a monster, a part of the Nightbreed. We actually see a lot more of basically what the rational people would call a crazy guy, seeing monsters and things that go bump in the night. We also see a lot more of the madness of Dr. Decker. Or, sorry, Dr. Deckard, yeah. Is it Dr. Decker? Let me see. Yeah, Dr. Decker. We see more of the evil of Dr. Decker. Our villain of the movie. In the director's cut than you do in the theatrical cut. Another big difference is the climax of the movie has two very big differences. His best friend in the film, which I always forget his name, but he's one he met before he died and before this individual died as well. He literally tries to cut his face off to show that his face is a disguise. He's kind of the comic relief of the movie. Well, in the theatrical cut, he lives. He actually lives in the theatrical cut of the film. In the director's cut, our villain decapitates him and holds his head around like this, like a trophy. So in the original version and vision of the movie, his friend actually does die. And is held around like a trophy by his head. That's another big difference. But I think the biggest difference is the ending of the film. In the theatrical cut of the film, we get the sense that he abandons his destiny of saving the Nightbreed and leading them to a new world, and just abandons them and goes off with his girlfriend. We get the feeling in our head, led to the imagination, that that's what he does. But in the original vision of the film, that is indeed not what he does. In the original vision of the film, which is what's in the director's cut, he chooses his destiny over his girlfriend. And his girlfriend kills herself, forcing him to bite her with the bite that marks death, is what they call in the movie. And basically it brings her back to life, and they follow into his destiny together, leading the Nightbreed into a new world. So that's how significant, that's how largely significant the director's cut is over the theatrical cut. It literally completely changes the story narrative. which is why I prefer that people watch the director's cut. Now, the director's cut of the film is a 2K with a DTS HDMA 5.1 sound presentation, and it's a 1.78.1 widescreen, which means that it's more of a commercial release than a theatrical release in terms of the frame. That said, it's still quite an experience to watch. Now, it is for the theatrical cut in 4K. Well, it's really good. Theatrical cut in 4K. The 1.85.1 widescreen ratio, CinemaScope way to watching the movie. Is somewhat, I kind of call it CinemaScope because there still are a little tiny bit of a bar on top and bottom. It's not really a bar; it's more like a boulder, which is always located right here and at the bottom. You have to look very closely to see it. That's how you can tell the difference between a 1.78 and a 1.85. It's always going to have that border there. So that's restored. It's for the HDR10. The HDR10 is actually pretty neutral on this one, but it does definitely add a bit more sharpness and detail to the picture with the brights and the darks, for sure. The DTS HDMA is what you expect from a 1990 movie, but for someone who has only ever seen Nightbreed on DVD, this is a big upgrade to me because I never ever owned Nightbreed on any Blu-ray format at all. So this is the first time I've actually owned it in Blu-ray format. And I can definitely tell you the sound is a massive, massive, massive improvement over the DVD. And how it is you actually have a lot of surround effects. There's a lot of things you didn't hear before that the original 2-channel surround presentation really doesn't give you the ability to experience. And so, yes, there's a much bigger experience when it comes to Nightbreed now with the 5.1 DTS HDMA sound presentation. So that's about all there is to say about Clive Barker's Nightbreed. Talking about the 4K version and the director's cut. To give you an idea about the differences on time on the two versions, the theatrical cut in 4K or in 2K is 102 minutes long. The director's cut is 120 minutes long. But overall, although they kind of replaced some sequences of the theatrical cut with additional sequences, all in all, there's 40 minutes of unseen footage restored back into the movie with the director's cut. And well, that's all there's to say about Clive Barker's Nightbreed. I hope you enjoyed. And this is a 4-disc set. You have bonus material discs, you have the director's cut, and you have both the theatrical cuts both in 2K and 4K Blu-ray. You have the theatrical cuts, and well, that's all there's to say about this movie. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.